Um, Welcome everyone to the October 13th, 2001 meeting of CB11's Land Use Landmarks Planning Committee. My name is Elsie Encarnacion and I am the chair of the committee. This meeting is being called to order at 6:33 p.m. Tonight we are joined by Angel Muscane, the staff liaison to our committee. In order to conduct an effective meeting, I'm going to go over a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click on the participants icon, the participants panel should appear and you should find the raise hand function there. If you still have technical difficulties, you may click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. The chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about the agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. The chat function should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. Please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom and wait to be recognized. With that, we are going to do roll call now. Angel, if you should, good.
Sure thing. Excuse me. Yolanda Brown.
Present.
Jessica Elliott.
Present.
Elsie Encarnacion.
Present.
James Horton.
Present.
Ivy Hume.
Present.
Francis Mastroda. Beverly Pabon is excused. Andrew Padilla.
Present.
Robert Perez.
Present.
Vinny Torres. Jason Villanueva.
Present.
Candy Vasquez. You have quorum.
Perfect. I almost forgot to unmute. Just checking. Okay, the agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand now through Zoom. Okay, so seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. And next, I believe, is the minutes. We did share minutes, correct, Angel?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so the minutes from our last meeting were also distributed to the committee members ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we will adopt the minutes as well for the meeting. Committee members, if you object, please raise your hand through Zoom. Okay, seeing no objections, we will adopt the minutes from September's meeting. So I believe that the minutes for tonight's meeting are being taken so kindly and generously by Roberto Perez. Thank you so much. And we will start with, I believe, informational updates and announcements. Sorry. Angel?
So our next meeting is, let me close all these windows so I can read. The next meeting of the Land Use Committee is scheduled for November 10th at 6:30. Just two quick informational updates. On October 4th, HPD announced that the Home First Down Payment Assistance Program will offer up to $100,000 to support qualified first-time home buyers purchasing a home in New York City. The expansion more than doubles the financial assistance available for first-time home buyers. As board members will know, and those familiar with board positions will know, like the board has been advocating for the inclusion of more home ownership opportunities in the development of affordable housing. So this is a welcome development. Second, on October 5th, the Department of City Planning and Department of Transportation announced a citywide design engagement process for the permanent restaurants program regarding design rules on permanent outdoor dining setups located on city streets. Co-led by DCP and DOT, these in-person and remote roundtables will take place throughout the city this fall and winter. Information on the dates and times and locations for the in-persons of these events are available on DOT's website.
Thank you, Angel. Yes, Jessica?
I just had a quick announcement too, if that was okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Great, thank you, Elsie. So I just wanted to announce that there's a virtual urban plan workshop being held on November 12th from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that's what I promoted in April. It's an urban plan for public officials workshop, but this upcoming workshop is focused on New York City's community boards across all 5 boroughs. So it's a virtual workshop where you adopt roles and compete with development teams in responding to a city issued RFP. So you're in a group team and you address issues such as affordable housing, parking, transit-oriented development, sustainability, resilience, and equity. So I know we haven't had an announcement about that come through email. So if anyone on the board or staff is interested, please go ahead and shoot me an email. I'll put it in the chat. Thanks so much.
Thank you. That sounds exciting, actually. Very interesting. We will now, does any other community board members have any announcements or updates they would like to give before we move on? Seeing none, we'll start with our presentations. We have an informational presentation regarding the Department of City Planning's Principles of Good Urban Design. Is Jose here or is Joan gonna present?
Jose is here.
Oh, perfect. Hey, Jose, welcome back.
Hi, this is Evgeny Geromo from the Department of City Planning. Also, I work with Jose. I don't know if he wanted to say a few words or if it's okay, he's going to leave it to me and my colleague Julien to present.
Either one is fine. And if you could just repeat your name so we can have it for the record.
Yes, absolutely. My name is Eugenia Di Girolamo. I am the Deputy Director of the Urban Design Division here at the Department of City Planning. Oh, I'm just seeing now that I clicked on the link that I got from Jose, and so I'm showing up as Jose. I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
I'll include it in the comments for the record, my name. And I'm joined here today by my colleague, Julien Speck, who's an amazing urban designer on our team. And we would like to talk to you about this effort that we have put together at the Department of City Planning called goodurbandesign.nyc. It's a website that we have created that we are hoping that you will visit and engage with. And it's really an effort for us to talk to New Yorkers and community boards and really everyone in the city about how urban designs and the public realm affects everyone's quality of life. We have principles of good urban design that we use in our work at the Department of City Planning, and we share with other agencies at the city, and we use as a way to in our work. And so we would love to update them. And through this effort, through this website, we want to bring everyone's input into the refresh of the principles. So I'll just leave it to my colleague, Julien, who will walk you through the site and give you a little bit more details about the effort. Thank you.
Hey. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Julien. I might just need to share my screen. So if anyone can allow me to share my screen.
You can share it now.
Thank you very much. Just 1 second. Okay, you can see my screen?
No.
Not yet, Julien.
Yes? It's okay? You can see it? No? Okay, wait a second.
Could it be because we use the same, Julien and I used the same link to join, and we may not be able to share our screens?
Possibly, I'm not sure.
So,
Oh, there it is.
oh, there you go. Great.
Oh, okay. Perfect. I'm going to try to do something else. You can still see my screen? Yeah, it's
Perfect.
okay. Yeah, yes, perfect. So yeah, I'm going to go through very quickly through a very short presentation first before walking you through this this new website. So I'm very quickly. So I will go through the context of this website. What are going to be the next steps for the Department of City Planning regarding this website, and I will give you an overview of the website. So the idea behind this website that was launched a month ago, so on September 13th, it's really to create an interactive website that will engage and empower New York City communities to better improve and think about their the built environment of their neighborhoods. And through this website also, it's about ensuring that urban design principles that the Department of City Planning created a few years ago and that were very directed to practitioners, architects, urban designers, and all the applicants that come to the Department of City Planning. And just to make sure that now that those urban design principles really incorporate all neighborhood perspectives and needs, and really resonate with communities of New York cities. So the audience for this website is first and foremost the general public. It's also community boards, NYC public schools, organizational partners, BIDs and CBOs, as well as DCP and other agencies of New York, and institution, industry experts, and all architects and developers, also the practitioners. But really, like, we really want to focus now on the general public and really have a honest conversation on urban design and what is the public realm with all New Yorkers. So the goals for this website is threefold. The first one is really about creating a new educational tool that I'm going to share with you in a minute. Trying to improve how we do engagement at DCP and also plan for a more equitable city, and also that we really hope that ideas that are going to be shared with us through this website are going to be a way also to inform the community needs. So some of the outcomes that we expect with interacting with New Yorkers through this website. The first of them, and I'm going to show it to you very soon. It's what we call the Citizens Guide to Planning, and it's a way for us to to interact with New Yorkers and to help them to go through the many processes that we have to improve the public realm. And the second one is really about like updating those urban design principles and taking into account like the feedbacks New Yorkers are going to share with us. And just to give you a really quick next steps for the following month regarding this effort. So right now we are really engaging with broadly with New Yorkers since the official launch of the website about a month ago. And then during the winter, we are going to review all the feedbacks and prepare the deliverables. And we really hope that for the winter and spring of 2022, we will be able to release those deliverables and promote them publicly, and also the idea of really preparing for a possible annual process. So now I'm going to share with you the website itself. I'm going to stop sharing this one. Okay, so this is so it's. I'm going to put the link in the chat because I think it might be very useful for you all to have it. I'm going to do that after the presentation. So this is how the website look like. So you just type on your keyboard goodurbandesign.nyc and it brings you to that website. The main feature is this animation that I invite you to watch. It's just 4 minutes, and in a nutshell, it explains. It does explain to you what urban design is and what is the public realm in very very simple terms. It was like probably the most difficult thing for us to achieve because we are so used to have such a technical jargon. So it's a very important part of this website. And the video is also available in Spanish, and also you can select as many languages you want to translate the website thanks to Google Translate, and it's pretty well done. So once you have watched the animation, you have a very short explanation about the purpose of this website, and then you have like the 3 activities that we really hope as many as New Yorkers as possible are going to interact with. And so far, we've had a pretty good amount of people who did come to that website. So the first activity on the left, so yeah, you see you have 3 of them. The first one is a survey, and we really ask people to tell us what does matter in their neighborhood. And so first of all, yeah, the first question is really about like what neighborhood they do live in, and then how long they have been living in their neighborhoods, and then really like diving into those urban design principles that we developed a few years ago at the Department of City Planning. You have 4 of them, and really trying to ask people what's really important for them, and to rank those UD principles, urban design principles, and very important question also to ask people what we might have missed, and really to have them like sharing their ideas about that. And then we have a deeper dive into each of those principles, as you can see here, and once again having them like commenting and adding any other thought they might have. And optionally, at the end of the survey, really trying to better know who are the people who are going to interact with the website, the age, the language they prefer to speak, and also how they would describe themselves. So once this first activity is done, people can go to the second one, and the second one is about sharing stories about their own neighborhood and ideas about possible improvement of their neighborhoods. Here you can see that people already interacted with this activity, and they shared the neighborhood they live in, and some of the reasons why they love or dislike their neighborhood and think that could be improved and in the future in their neighborhood. And you can see also that it's possible to comment and to share likes on those ideas. And something that can be done also, it's you can add images, photos, or sketches of your neighborhood. And then the third activity is really about diving into each of the 4 urban design principles that we have today, and really starting a discussion on those principles, and really asking people what does miss in those principles and how they could be improved. So, for instance, the first principle is about what we call reinforcing the sense of place of a neighborhood. The second one is about good urban design that supports ease of movement around the city and an accessible public realm. The third one is about details that ensure quality, durability, stewardship, and maintenance of a neighborhood. And the last one is about making a neighborhood comfortable, welcoming, and a neighborhood that feels safe to all, thanks to good urban design. And there's a last bucket where you can share if we missed anything. So, for instance, as I go to the discussion, you can see that people already shared their ideas with us. And so those are the three activities that we have in that website. Something else that I want to share with you also, it's so if you have like those tabs at the very top of the page. One is brings you back to the main website, the main web page. The second one is how to use the principles. So it's this is more focused on practitioners, but we really try to also open them to community members, and how urban design can really improve the quality of life of their neighborhoods. And something else that we developed also, it's really how at DCP we are really committed to improve the community engagement, and how we do engagement with New Yorkers, and really focusing on inclusivity, transparency, and being participatory. And here you can find a very interesting document that is the planning guide, where just if people have an idea about their neighborhood and ideas about how to improve their community, and asking themselves those questions about what if I want to make an improvement, and I would like to enhance the beauty and comfort of my neighborhood, to request more trees or park bench, a community garden, or street light. So you have like those small stars, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on that page, that really bring you to the to the website of the city agency that is in charge of improving those aspects of the neighborhoods. For instance, here you have like if you want to add a bike lane or street trees, so you can go to the Department of Parks and Recreation website to request the street tree. So this is a very important part of the website that we've developed also. And something also that we developed in this website is a glossary that we really hope community members are going to be able to use, and where we are really try to define very jargony words that we use all the time, and trying to define terms like urban design, urban planning, and urban design principles. So I guess it's pretty much it. Thank you for listening, and I really invite you to interact with this website and to share it with as many people as possible in your community. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Julien. And just to close, and if you could share also the link on the chat to everyone, that would be great. Again, it's goodurbandesign.nyc. If we really want everyone to engage with it, and we really want everyone to use it as a tool for how to engage with the public realm, and also a tool for how to engage with city planning and how to make change in their neighborhood. So really, we think that this is something that communities can use. And in the meantime, we really hope to get a lot of feedback on the principles themselves. So we are available for questions if there are any, and otherwise we're also available via email. We can share our emails as well, and happy to get questions that way as well.
Thank you for the presentation. I think it's an amazing website. I love just about everything about it until I get in there and play with it myself. I did have a question a little bit about the outcomes and how those outcomes will be shared with the same community. Like, is there a plan essentially for that kind of reshare of whatever comes out of this website?
Yeah, that is it's a great question. So we definitely plan on sharing the feedback that we receive. So first of all, the feedback that it's on the forum page and the ideas page, the last two exercises that Julien walked you through, those are available, you're able to see them now on the page. They're public, so everyone can see them. The responses of the survey, we're collecting them, and we plan on sharing the outcomes publicly. We're still figuring out what format that will be. Of course, depends on the volume of the responses, which we hope to have a good problem of having a lot of responses and having to figure out how to share them. But we're definitely committed to sharing those responses publicly, so that people know how other communities have responded and how people in their neighborhood have responded as well. And then, of course, there will be a process for the update to the urban design principles themselves, and then we will release the new updated version publicly as well. And then we commit to, I think, having the community planning guide that we've created once the site will close. We're thinking towards the end of November. Then we would love to keep that active on the city planning website if people are interested and think that it's a good tool.
Awesome, thank you so much. I see a hand up from one of our committee members, Ivy.
Yeah, hi, thank you for the presentation. It's exciting to hear what you guys are doing. I just had a couple thoughts in terms of the website, like in terms of the media. It's such a great website and there's so much work that's gone into it. I wonder about about the medium though, because it doesn't seem that I just don't know how effective it's going to be to get average people to just Google and find this website. So I would want to know how exactly it's being advertised and publicized to get people involved. And I wonder if something like an app or something like a tool that would be in place via another app, such as Instagram, for example, would be a more sort of in touch way of communicating. It just seems like a website is a little bit antiquated, like 10, 20 years ago, even way of doing this kind of a project, where something like more interactive that could be done on your handheld device through, you know, channels of social media that are most commonly used by people today, even like something like TikTok or Instagram. I mean, it just seems like why aren't we using those kinds of mediums? So thanks.
Julian, you want to take that, or you want me to take that?
I can take this question. So it's it's something that we talked a lot about, and actually we have a campaign right now of trying to promote this new tool as much as possible. We have an Instagram account at the New York City Department of City Planning. It's not super successful, and we don't have that many people following us, but it does exist actually. And every week we have a new post really trying to promote this website. And each time we do have a post, actually we see that more people are coming to the website. So yeah, the website itself doesn't is not enough for sure. And it's if you don't know about the URL, you're never gonna go to the website. But we really noticed that it's been working pretty well. We have also a Twitter account at the New York City Department of City Planning, and people are also coming after we post on the Twitter account. Something more that is coming also in the coming days. We are going to have advertisement on the Link NYC polls in New York City. Probably at the end of the week, so you might see the website and the link to the website appearing in many places in New York City, as well in the ferries. And so yeah, we really do our best right now to promote this tool. And something also that we are doing right now, it's really trying to reach out as many people as possible, like you tonight, to re-promote this new tool. A month ago, we participated in a parking day. It's an event that takes place once a year, and we collaborated with the Washington Heights Expeditionary Learning School. It's a high school in Washington Heights, and we had it was a tabling event, so it's the old way, and we had a lot of kids and parents that we were able to engage with. So it was a very successful way also of talking about that website. But yeah, I totally agree with you that we could do even better. I'm not sure we might have a TikTok account for the New York City Department of City Planning, but it's definitely something to explore and something that we need to be open to.
I guess just sorry, one super quick thought is partnering with schools sounds really exciting and like a great way to have these conversations also. And then I just searched for Department of City Planning on Instagram and I didn't find the account. So it'd be great, I think, if your social media manager over there, maybe you replace them with someone who's a little more in the know. Get cracking. Thank you.
Any further questions from the committee? No? Perfect. Well, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. We'll try our best to do some outreach
you very
on
much.
this. And I encourage all the members to go on there, put in your input, and play around with the website and see if we can get some feedback to these people. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much.
No
Have a good
problem.
night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Angel, oh, he's on it. Thanks. Our next presentation actually is our committee discussion and vote on the land use application for Castle 3 on 107-111 East 123rd Street. The applicant is seeking designation of an urban development action area and approval of an urban development action area project, the disposition of city-owned property and a zoning special permit to facilitate the proposed development of a 15-story building with 81 units, affordable to formerly homeless and low-income individuals and households, as well as a space for supportive social services. And I believe, Angel, you had circulated a draft of this, correct?
Yes, I circulated to the committee a draft reso. Also, the development team is represented on the call, as well as HPD, in case the committee members had any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So let me just, I'm sorry, I'm gonna pull up my screen, the reso.
Oh, I'm sorry, and I forgot, and George James, of course, is on the call in case folks had any technical questions.
Yeah, George, do you have anything you'd like to guide us with your?
Well, I'm here to answer questions that the committee may have, but one of the things I think that you have to be, you should be aware of is that this is a special permit action, and so it requires the City Planning Commission to give it a special permit, and there are certain findings that they have to make on the special permit, just regarding good urban design, which is something that we were just hearing about, and some other, traffic and, significant additions to supportive services in the neighborhood. It's just that, as something that's discretionary like this, there are other things it needs to do than just provide this affordable housing, right? It needs to have good urban design. It needs to preserve, or at least not unduly obstruct light and air to adjoining properties in the street, things like that. And so you are able to comment maybe a little bit more than you sometimes do on these applications, because it's not just a rezoning or something like that. It's got to meet these findings.
Perfect, thank you. I was just looking at the draft, and there are 3 bullet points that were recommended. One of them, and if you should have seen it, but I don't know if we can pull it up on the screen, but I'll just read it for now. It talks about, let me see, are you gonna pull it up, Angel? Is that what's happening?
Working on it, give me a sec.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure so I don't have to keep going back and forth from screen to screen. I'm working on a very small computer. But while he pulls that up, are there any preliminary questions or additions or things that we would like to? Thank you, Angel. That's good. So you can just scroll down to the
Therefore,
yeah. There it is. So these are what we have so far written in. If there are any additions, anything that we may have missed, anything that wants to be added, as George just mentioned, we can speak a little bit more about good design. We do have here the partnership, the workforce development piece that we push constantly, and also a collaboration in terms of an advisory board with Community Board 11. Thoughts? Mic's open. Yes, Jessica.
Jessica had her hand up.
Yeah, I just saw.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Thanks. I don't have much to say, but I read this resolution and I think it looks great. And I thank Angel and the staff and this committee for the work that went into this. I thought that the presentation from Fortune Society was great, and they're doing a lot of excellent work in the community. And I just wanted to voice my support.
Thank you, Jessica. There are no additional comments on any of these, or if on the resolution as it is written. We can go straight into, or if there are no questions, we can go straight into voting. I don't want to hold up if there are no questions or comments.
Can I make a quick comment?
Sure.
This is precisely how we've worked in West Harlem for a building that we've run over 20 years. And we would do this if it were not required. We've been serving this community for probably 50 of our years. And we're just excited about the idea about being able to offer permanent and supportive housing that's truly affordable. So we're just honored to be here and excited about this project.
Great. Thank you so much for that. All right, I will entertain a motion at this time. Anyone's willing to give it?
Hi, I'd like to make a motion to accept the the draft as is.
Okay, and the draft is recommending for the approval with these 3 pieces, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Yolanda. Jessica?
I would just like to second that. You're on mute, Elsie.
Angel, could you call a roll call for the vote? Oh, thank you for that, Toby. We will definitely fix any typos before sending it out.
Roll call, okay. Yolanda Brown,
Yes.
Jessica Elliott,
Yes.
Elsie Encarnacion,
Yes.
James Horton,
Yes.
Ivy Hume,
Yes.
Francis is out. Beverly is out. Andrew Padilla,
Yes.
Robert Perez,
Yes.
Vinny Torres is out. Jason Villanueva,
Yes.
I almost called you Stephen, and Candy's out. The motion passes.
Thank you, Angel. And now that I just heard Andrew's name again, I wanted to formally on the record just thank Andrew for holding me down last month. It was the beginning of the year for us, and our vice chair, newly appointed vice chair, was just able to step in and help me out. And I really appreciate it. And I thank him. And I've heard great things about the work that was done in last month's meeting. So just for the record, wanted to put that. I see a hand up. Oh, all of the hands were in the audience. I did not see them. I'm sorry. Ah, okay. Yes, I did not see those hands in the audience. I apologize for that. Angel, would it be okay if we just call those hands so we can get it on the record, the public's input for that, even though we already took the vote? Call?
Sure.
Okay. So I see Gladys here, Serrano?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I apologize. I did not see those hands.
Oh, that's fine. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gladys. I'm a neighborhood resident and a homeowner. I live on 117th and 5th Avenue. I am also a member of the Harlem East Block Association. The presentation was really interesting. It's wonderful to know that the audience can provide input through the website, which we will do. But there are many concerns with the program that the Fortune Project has been discussing. And the concern is that we already have many programs in this neighborhood, and we don't understand why it is that this type of program continues to come to this neighborhood. We want to know what the idea is behind this and what the percentages are in terms of our neighborhood and other neighborhoods where this project can take place.
Okay, thank you. So the percentages of this particular castle development projects in other places, or?
Yes, absolutely. We
Okay.
feel that in this neighborhood, we have a high percentage of programs. It's visible when you walk in the neighborhood. If most of you live in this neighborhood, you very well know. All you have to do is walk to Lexington Avenue or 125th Street or 110th Street along Central Park. You will see many, many people who are obviously part of a program, either homeless or mentally disturbed or using drugs or behaving inappropriate in the neighborhood. We want to understand why you want to bring more people into our neighborhood when we can't even handle what we already have here.
I appreciate you asking the question, and I'd like to respond because we had similar concerns from the neighborhood when we moved into our West Harlem building. And what we were able to do was make the neighborhood safer. And that is the commitment that we have. This is not a building that's going to be drawing the people you're talking about. This will be a stable residence that stabilizes people. And we've built the design so that there'll be 24/7 front door coverage with line of sight on the street. And we will be engaging very strongly with the larger community to make this a resource to the community board, to the tenants associations, to the people who stabilize the neighborhood. What we found in our West Harlem building is that we made the neighborhood safer. And our building is one of the safest in the neighborhood. And we had a Community Board 9, that had initial concerns. And when we were ready to build on the empty lot behind our initial building, they came in very strongly in support of us. So I think the best reference for us in terms of making neighborhoods safer would be the people at Community Board 9, who went from being worried about us to becoming some of our strongest supporters.
We'd be interested to hear, I'm sorry, one more question. We'd be interested to hear what method you have to sanction certain behavior.
We have the ability to evict people if they're not behaving appropriately. We also have very strong case management, and we screen people before we let them in.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you. I saw also hands on Lydia Butler and then followed by Jane Murphy.
Hi, I'm Lydia Butler. And before I speak, I'd just like to make sure that my comments are being recorded in the meeting's minutes. Is that going to happen? I'll take that as yes.
Sorry, my mute button. It's on the record. It is on record and it will be recorded. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, my name is Lydia Butler. I live on Madison Avenue. I'm also a member of the Harlem East Block Association. First of all, I'd like to say that I love living here in East Harlem. I've lived here for 17 years, and there's a community feeling here that's like no other neighborhood in my experience, at least. But at the last community board meeting, I expressed my concern about the oversaturation of social services in East Harlem. And I specifically brought up this building by the Fortune Society. And I was not privy to the presentation that the Fortune Society obviously has given before. So I didn't hear that, but I was told it would be a good idea to speak at the land use meeting. So here I am. So I have heard that the Fortune Society are considered good neighbors. And in this neighborhood, we have already welcomed so many people who really need a leg up and some assistance. So I'm certainly hoping for the best. And I do believe that a secure home prevents recidivism. But as a parent, I'm kind of wondering, and I don't know whether this is information that you could even share, are many of the residents sex offenders, and have they been incarcerated for violent offenses? I mean, we already deal with a lot in this neighborhood, a lot of things that kids shouldn't have to witness. I was a teacher for 34 years. I'm retired now, and I know that kids are really affected by the things that they see around here. And it just concerns me that they continue to put more and more services that don't even seem to be working right in this few blocks. It's baffling to me why they can't. We do want to help people. I don't want to come off like a NIMBY at all, but I feel like there has to be other places in Manhattan where social services can be placed. Maybe the Fortune Society is a whole different kind of thing. It sounds like what Joanna is saying. It seems like it's a positive addition, but I'm just wondering about specifically about those things. Are there sex offenders? Are there violent offenders? And is there going to be a community liaison of some sort, like a specific person that we can go to with concerns? Sorry, I know I have a lot of things to say, but wanted to get them all.
Let me start with the last question you asked, which is, will there be a community liaison? And we have Vaughn Jackson, who has been coming to the community board meetings and is our liaison. When we started in West Harlem, what we were told was that there was a history of what I call hit and run human services, where organizations come in, make a lot of promises, dump vulnerable people, and never have the leadership shown up again. We've been attending 6 meetings a month in Community Board 9 since we bought the building in 1998. So that if anybody has a problem with anybody, they can turn to the person sitting in the meeting and ask for help. And we also share numbers, so there's an immediate response. But we haven't had to do it often because we screen carefully and we support people really carefully. In terms of the sex offender question, we cannot take anybody who has lifetime registry. And that's part of our funding. And those are people who are the more serious. In terms of the question about violent convictions, we screen very carefully about risk of current violence, because somebody who had a violent conviction 20, 25, 30 years ago and no history since is a very good tenant. So we screen using individualized assessments, and actually we're required to do that by law. We can't do blanket exclusions, but we're very careful. And we met a number of times with the community board, and what we heard is just what you said about oversaturation. And part of the design that we have limits the support of social services largely to the people living in the building. We have a 65,000 square foot service center, which is our main service center, and it's in Long Island City. So many of the services will be delivered in Long Island City, some in West Harlem. But our largest social service site is not here. This is a fairly small social service site. And we see it as a resource to the community. We do not see it attracting people from outside the community. And the community board made us very aware of that concern when we met with them.
Thank you, Joanne. The next hand up is Andrew Padilla, and then we'll go back to the attendees.
I can let the attendees go. I'm fine for now.
Okay. Okay. First hand is Jane Murphy.
Hi, yeah. I guess I want to start by saying thank you to the board for your service and for allowing me to share my perspective tonight. And thank you to the presenter. Everything you're saying sounds so wonderful, and I'm inspired by what you're saying and how you're saying it. And if it all is true, all of the members of the Harlem East Block Association and all, the whole community will be behind you 100%. But the issue that I have is that I have a feeling that everyone who came into this oversaturated community might have said the same things, might have told the same story, which would be why the community board would have approved them and kept on approving them until we find ourselves where we are today. And, you know, I recently had the opportunity to listen to Jamani Williams, and he was speaking about oversaturation of services, and in particular methadone clinics in Harlem. And he spoke for 7 minutes, and he must have said the word compassion 20 times. And that resonated with everybody in the crowd that day. Really resonated with me in particular. And I want to be there to help my brothers and sisters in need. And I truly believe that there, but for the grace of God, go I. So I'm not coming to this from a protecting my investment point of view. I'm coming at this because I see the most needy among us are like fish in a barrel in this neighborhood at this point. We are so oversaturated with our most needy community members. And I just feel like they don't have a chance to thrive because we're all going to go down together in this. I want to be compassionate, but I don't want to allow this deep, abiding compassion and empathy lead me to complacency. And, you know, like I said, I love what you're saying and how you're saying it. It sounds so beautiful, but there's a big problem festering in Harlem right now. And the symptoms are like, I can't even walk down the street anymore without being accosted by someone who's having a mental health breakdown or strung out on drugs, singing, careening around, or every other corner, there's a drug dealer preying on these people. I don't want to blame the victim, and I want to support good programs, but I want to make sure that we're using a fair amount of discrimination and really looking at the numbers, really making sure that there's a place for this service provider, that it's not going to push out other people or take away from the services that we're already providing in this. At this point, I think less than a quarter of all the people, all the patients that are being served by methadone clinics are residents of Harlem. I mean, it's just no excuse for that. I'm hoping that we can find a way to find a more fair and equitable distribution of services throughout the boroughs, so that we can create a safe and equitable opportunities for everyone to thrive.
So I hear two things. I hear the compassion and I hear the concern about having a neighborhood that's safe. And what I would say is that the way to judge us is by our past performance. And if it were not a time of COVID, I would give the invitation that I gave when we moved into our West Harlem building 20 years ago, which is come see who we are, come visit and see if we've kept our promises. We have a 30-year track record of offering, a 20-year track record of offering this kind of service, and a 50-year plus track record of offering supportive services. This is a very small footprint. It is, it's 81 apartments plus a studio, plus an apartment for the superintendent. It is going to be 58 supportive units, and we're going to have intensive case management, really strong services. And the people who live there, like the people in our West Harlem building, are going to be part of the community. They'll be part of the religious congregations. They will be part of the employee population. In our West Harlem building, they're helping with the community gardens. They will be like any other resident, but with much stronger supports, because they do have challenges. But I think we will do what we did in West Harlem, which is that the block we're on will be safer because we're there. And there, anybody can promise anything, but check with Community Board 9 and you'll find that we delivered. We are a polling place for them. We do a block party. We have events. We are a part of the community, and we run an extraordinarily safe building, and also one that's beautiful and one that's mixed. It's affordable and supportive. And what we heard is that there is a desperate need for affordable, beautiful, safe housing for members of the community. And we've built low income and very low income apartments in here. I think you'll find that you come in and out of our building, and we do cooking demonstrations, we do produce giveaways for our neighbors, we do theatrical events. I think you're going to find that this will make the neighborhood more vibrant and safer.
Thank you, Joanne, and thank you, Jane, for your comments. Okay, last one from the public, Sarah Noda.
Hi, thank you. I'm a resident here in East Harlem, and I have 3 young children. And I really agree a lot with what some of the other community members have been saying. And it really appears to me like this facility is primarily in place to house formerly incarcerated individuals. And, you know, I completely feel like everyone deserves a second chance in life. But my primary concerns lie in what checks and balances have been put in place and established, and also that I, personally would want to see a facility like this catered just to Harlem residents, so that we're not bringing in residents that were living in other areas, because our area is already in so much need. And yes, there have been so many services added to this area, and we're basically on the borderline of another community board. So where this facility is going, there's also other social services going in that community board is putting in nearby as well. So I'm wondering what kind of restrictions or checks and balances have been put in place, because we should really be serving the people who are already here. So has the community board set up any kind of structure of reporting to require that, this facility houses at least, 80% of individuals who are already currently in Harlem? And what other kind of community checks and balances are there when problems arise?
So we have been clear in our application that to the extent that we're legally able to, we will be able to prioritize Harlem residents and East Harlem residents. That's not utterly in our control because there are legal restrictions about that, but it's something we want to do as much as possible, and to have people come in who have a nexus to the community.
Thank you, Joanne, and thank you, Sarah, for your questions and comments. We're going to move on to the next item, which is an informational presentation regarding a landmarks application.
Thank you for the opportunity to join you.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you, Joanne. And also, before that, did Andrew want to take his time to?
Oh, yeah, I forgot Andrew. Whoops.
No problem.
I appreciate y'all coming back to me. I think that the folks working the project answered the concerns in the room. I just think it's always important we, focus on compassion and forum. Right now we're talking about a building that'll bring in a whole bunch of affordable housing units to this neighborhood, and there's an oversaturation in this neighborhood of certain types of drug rehabilitative facilities and the like, but we're talking about an affordable housing complex here, and I think it's important that we be attentive to forum. And also, again, I think I'd mentioned this at another meeting, I think at our full board meeting, one of the reasons we've had, my whole life living here, the reason we've had the highest concentration of a lot of rehabilitative facilities in this neighborhood is because we don't have fair share. Other districts won't take on their fair share. That when a project comes in, people organize, and no matter how nice and supportive the project might sound, they organize to stop it in districts throughout the city. And so I think Ben Kalos has come to our community board to talk about a project he supported in his, and just, I think it's important that we, you know, if we are concerned about an oversaturation of existing facilities in this neighborhood, that we really do pressure folks who, you know, other electeds throughout this city who would end up taking them on, because we can't just disappear people. They would have to go somewhere. And that's why I think a fair share with these facilities is so important. And again, it's important to understand the type of what we're talking about.
You know, I think I get an email from your middle office every few months with like some notification of like some dividend.
But I couldn't hear that. But yeah, I didn't want to take too much time away. I know we're on to another. I know we're on to like another item of business. But I appreciate you coming back to me.
Thanks, Andrew. Elsie, if I could just share a couple of comments before we go on to the next thing. Just for the members of the public that are on the call, and as Joanne referenced in, you know, in her responses, we've been, and has referenced in the presentations over the last few months, we've been in conversation with the Fortune Society for several years. They engaged us at the beginning of the project when this was merely a concept, and sat down and tried to understand what the needs in the district are, what they were, you know, hoping, you know, the needs that they were hoping to address with this project, and we're all ears. And Joanne can attest that every single thing that everyone on this call has expressed was expressed out of my mouth when we sat face to face, right? And not from a position of we don't want, but here's where we are. This is what we're living with, right? What our residents are living with and dealing with every day. Here are the consequences, like Andrew said, of fair share not being enforced, and, you know, political decisions being made and resulting in these serious impacts for our community, which presents the challenges that we're living with today. That conversation was had and has continued to be had. And what the Fortune Society came back with was something that reflected that conversation. And then further beyond this project, the issues that are raised here, we raise all the time, right? At our last full board meeting, someone mistakenly was suggesting that our members are not from the community. That's incorrect. Every single one of them are from the community. And most of them are born and raised in this community and live here and own property here and open businesses and so on and so on and so on. They have the very same feelings that many others do. And while the frustration is understood, I think it also needs to be understood that the board is trying very hard to address all of these issues that they have been working on for many years as well. And while decisions were made a long time ago that resulted in the saturation and the oversaturation that people are feeling now, those are not decisions made by this body as is currently constituted. And what this body is, as is currently constituted, is looking to do is looking to address many of the mistakes that were made prior, many of the mistakes that weren't made before. And instead of engaging with an individual like Joanne Page and an organization like the Fortune Society and saying, hey, this is how we want to partner, this is how we have to partner, and this is how we must partner, and then ensuring that we're pulling our weight in that partnership and insisting that we're at the table to maintain that partnership, that was not done historically. Or if it did happen, it fell off because it isn't the relationship now. But like Joanne was explaining, that is fully our expectation now. And because of Fortune Society's experience historically, and most recently with CB9, they're eager to have that relationship. So in this case, we don't expect that we'll have any challenges. However, with the other organizations, we'll have to pursue establishing those relationships. But I just wanted to reassure folks that it is very much the intention and the ongoing work of this community board to engage with the service providers and to look to address the needs of our community by all the measures at our disposal. be it with housing, be it with support services, be it with programming. So nothing's going to be off the table, but at the same time, we're not taking our eye off the ball as it relates to the results of poor decisions made for political reasons that have resulted in the conditions that we're living with now. That was a little longer than what I intended, but we'll move on. Thank you, Elsie, for a few moments.
No worries. So our next is an informational presentation regarding the application 47 East 129th Street. This applicant seeks a certificate of appropriateness from NYC Landmarks Preservation Committee for a proposed entrance stair lift for barrier-free access as part of the conversion of a rectory building to a residential use. The community board is being asked to provide a letter to LPC stating that it supports or opposes or recommends modifications to the application. So Edwin, I know you've been waiting for a while.
Before you guys move to the next item, Chair, this is Felipe Cortez from HPD. I just want to say thank you for having us tonight with the Fortune Society team. I'll leave you to it. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Edwin, sorry.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, hi. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Edwin Tang. I am the architect for this building at 47 East 129th Street. I do have some slides I would like to share with everyone, if I may share my screen. Okay, thank you so much. Can you guys confirm if you see my screen?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, I'm going to do full screen here. So I'm going to try to keep this as short as I can. This is part of the All Saints Church Parish House and School complex located on between 129th and 130th Street and Madison Avenue. These three buildings were all built in the late 1800s by the same architect, Mr. Renwick, who also built St. Patrick's Cathedral. And for the longest time, this was run by the Archdiocese of New York, which is the Roman Catholic Church. And about 10 years ago, all three buildings became vacant and has sat vacant for all these years. And due to neglect, it started to fall apart until this last year. The current owner came in to purchase the buildings, and they've set it up for bringing it back to use. So the scope of tonight's discussion is really about the rectory building or the parish house. And this is the sleeping rooms where the clergy would stay, and the clergy being the staff who operate the church and the school. The rectory is going to be converted to residential use as an apartment building. And as part of that requirement, when you change the use of a building from one occupancy group to another, there's a requirement to upgrade for accessibility. And what that means is persons with disabilities need to be able to navigate from the sidewalk into the front entrance and into the building to be able to use the rooms. So that is the focus of tonight. I wanted to go to the next slide to kind of give you a okay, so here's the site plan just to kind of orient you on the map. So you see Madison Avenue to the left, East 129th on the bottom, East 130th on the top. So you see the church in the corner and the school right above that. And then the orange outlined building on the bottom is the rectory building. They are all connected. So as I explained, the church and the school the school is going to be continued to be operated as a school. The church is going to be converted to be part of that school as an expansion of the school. And the current owner has secured a lease with Capital Prep Harlem, which is a charter school. They're going to be moving into the church and school buildings, and at this time they don't have any use for the rectory building. So therefore the owner has decided to convert the rectory, instead of leaving it empty, to convert it to apartments for rental in the neighborhood. So we discussed with Landmarks how to achieve accessibility of the front entrance, and we explored every possible way to do this. So typically ramps or lifts are the most commonly seen means to achieve accessibility. So we looked at how to do this, and just so you see in the picture, right now it's quite it's a 2-bay building. It's quite narrow. So you see the double door entrance on the right, you see the staircase exit from the cellar on the left, and then all this decorative ironwork around it. So if we were, and it's about 4 steps up from the sidewalk to that landing that enters the double doors. So in order to do the ramp, you would need quite a few feet of ramping, which would effectively block the exit from the cellar, which would really be not feasible. So that's the first option we looked at, the ramp. It really doesn't work for this building. And it's also a landmark building. So Landmarks has preservation requirements. We are to preserve as much as the historic decorative features of the facades, of the railings, of the doors and windows as possible. Landmarks would not permit us to kind of redo the whole entrance. And we looked at all the possible ways we can do it. So the first option with the ramp really doesn't work. The second option would be the platform lift, which is one of those lifts that carry you up about 2 or 3 feet with a landing and a gate. And again, the stair from the cellar is a required means of egress from that level. So to introduce a vertical lift would effectively block that stair and make it unusable, and the width would become non-compliant with what's required by code. So that really doesn't work either. We looked at lowering the front entrance double doors by 18 inches, which is what the Landmarks Commission in their guidebook suggests is an option in certain cases. The problem with that is to lower the front entrance doors would mean lowering the interior floor level, which would then cause the door of the cellar exit to be lowered as well, which would then compromise the required head clearance. You need to safely use that exit. And again, it would compromise the exit of the cellar door. And also this starts to tinker with the historic trims and the historic features and the doors of the facade, which is also, you know, not recommended in general, but in extenuating circumstances, Landmarks has been known to allow minor adjustments of existing doors. So in this case, we don't see it as a feasible option either. So the last option is the inclined stair lift. And this is a lift that climbs the railing of the stair at an incline. It's a fold down type of device, and it would park behind the railing when it's not in use, so that it doesn't obstruct pedestrians on the sidewalk. It doesn't obstruct people using the steps to the doors, and you know, it doesn't present a barrier for circulation. So this is the only feasible option that we see that, you know, achieves accessibility while preserving the historic features of the facade, and also while preserving the required exit from the cellar, which is on the left. I would like to show you, these are some of the plans that were submitted to the Landmarks Commission. So the blow-up view of the front entrance in plan view, you can see the new railing that would wrap around this existing stone edge of the steps. And also there's some space to the left of this wall. I call it a wall, low wall. And this lift would fold up when not in use and then be parked to the side of it, on the other side of this wall. And when someone needs to use it, they would engage the device. It would flip out to the front, fold down for the wheelchair to roll onto it, and then it would climb the 4 steps up to the landing, and then they can then operate the doors to roll into the inside. And inside we provided an entire floor of accessible apartments, which includes accessible room sizes, bathrooms, kitchens, etc. So that was the intent. I will show you another view of this stair lift in elevation view. So you see the decorative iron railing in the background. And this was roughly the size of the lift that would be installed against that wall and the railing. So I'm going to go to the next page. So I'm going to show you some photos, some more close-up photos of the entrance. So we see here the decorative railing, the wooden double doors. Right now there's a sidewalk shed over it because they were repairing the facade. This next photo shows you looking left to the staircase from the cellar and the railings around it. Here's another shot to the right, and that space on the other side of that low wall where we would park the device when not in use, so it's out of the way of the sidewalk. Here's another close-up just to show you the existing condition of the railings, which would be repaired and refurbished. The stone wall would be also repaired and refurbished. This is just some measurements to give you a sense of what we're looking at. The landing is about 8 feet deep, 5 feet deep. The wall is 8 feet long. The steps, each step is about 1 foot as far as the depth of the step, and the elevation of each step is roughly 6 inches. And this is a look into that exit from the cellar, coming up the steps to the sidewalk. And here's a shot from the inside of that entrance. So you see the exit sign and the emergency lights. And that's the final picture of my presentation. I would like to open up for questions at this point.
Thank you, Edwin. I see we have 2 hands. I have Jessica Elliott, followed by Ivy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Edwin. I'm also an architect, and I appreciate your challenge here. It's a annoying problem to have, I just was curious if you plan to extend the front landing and impact the decorative railing on the right-hand side either way. Have you considered the platform lift on the right-hand side? It looks like the space is tight, but from the measurements, it looks like that might be able to work without the,
Are you talking about on the other side of that wall on the right?
Yes. Yeah.
There's not enough space. Here's just to give you a sense. Here's a 3'10" dimension on the inside.
Oh, I see.
We don't even have 3 feet to the property line. So the only feasible, I think they put trash cans right here right now. The only feasible thing is to park the folded up device when not in the resting position. I think that's the best thing we can see.
Yeah,
But
especially with that
we really
column
racked
in the
our
corner,
brains. Yeah,
too.
we really racked our brains to try to see how we can achieve this.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Ivy?
Hi, yeah, thank you for that presentation. I only wanted to say, I mean, I'm also an architect, and I appreciate again also all the work and the kind of wrapping your head around these problems. For me, this presentation, we saw a very similar one in the neighborhood a few months ago in another meeting, and these presentations really just call to mind for me that landmarks, and I doubt we have someone from landmarks on the call right now, but I just wonder, how long are we going to allow our antiquated values of prizing like a stair or a decorative railing over now like current needs of real people on an everyday basis, which is to enter a building? And it just seems that, because they're so stringent on not allowing really more gracious and graceful access into buildings, or a revision or rethinking of the way people built buildings 100 years ago. It seems backwards that we're challenging that and saying we need to build accessibly. And at the same time, we're sort of prizing and esteeming those designs with value by saying that we can't demolish them, and instead we have to, put in these lifts, which are sort of more band-aid solutions and not structural. So it's really not a complaint to anyone on this call. It's just a general gripe I have with the thinking behind this. And I sincerely hope that in the coming years, we can pretend like we live in the 21st century finally, and design and build and regulate in a way that serves all kinds of people, no matter how accessible, no matter how disabled they may be.
I totally agree with you, Ivy. I really second your thought, but we are still constrained by current, requirements, unfortunately.
Thank you for that. Any other committee members have questions? We had a very similar presentation with another church in the community recently, last year, I believe, where we had similar restrictions and a lift needed to be put in place. I think if it's not the same lift, it looks very similar to it. I am not an architect, so I do not know anything about this stuff, but I do appreciate you going through all of the possible configurations and trying to see what would best work with the limitations that are there. I trust that this is the best option. And so I know that you are seeking a letter to be sent to the LCP, I believe, correct?
Yeah, the Landmarks Commission, yes, LPC.
Okay, LPC, thank you. So if there are no further questions, let me look in the audience. I think we might have a question. I don't want to forget. Ms. Lydia Butler, you have a question about this topic?
Actually, no, it's not about this topic, but I'm still pretty disturbed, to tell you the truth, about what was just happening before this topic. First of all, I feel like is that normal procedure that everybody votes before the public gets a chance to chime in?
No, so that was my apologies to the public. I did not see the hands raised on the Zoom, so it is not a procedure to have that happen, but it did, and we.
So does that mean that that vote is not valid because it wasn't done?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
So what are you saying, that it doesn't matter what the public says, basically? Because
no, we absolutely heard your concerns. I believe we did hear it also during the full board. This is a conversation that we've had many times. I think Angel was clear on essentially what we are doing. We are have heard the presentation from Fortune Society, and we're extremely impressed with the work that they have done in the past and are looking forward to the partnership with them. So it isn't about.
What about all of the other places that are coming in? Are they going to sound equally as wonderful? I mean, I agree that the Fortune Society facility does sound like it is a positive addition to the neighborhood, but
yes,
there are all those new places, the Timbali Terrace, the Fox House, there's a new relocated methadone clinic on 110th Street, the Victory Plaza, the Wynn 118. So are they all definitely coming as well?
Those conversations and presentations are held individually, and we have the same conversations that we have today, and we agree or vote based on those individual presentations. So it depends.
But it seems to me that it was already, unless I misunderstood, it seemed like you kind of were bound to historically what previous boards, community boards agreed to. So you kind of had to say yes to the Fortune Society. So do you have to say yes to these as well?
No, each vote is separate and apart. this point, I'm going to, I am going to ask to move on. I think we have made it very clear on the Fortune Society piece, but we do take into consideration, and that, just like Angel said, we hear you. We have had these conversations. We'll continue to have these conversations and push for those things. I do thank you for your participation, and I do apologize for not seeing those hands prior. But I am going to allow anyone else that has questions about this particular project to ask them now, and then if not, we're going to ask for a vote for this project and for the letter to propose this project. Thank you, Lydia. At this point, I'll entertain a motion for a letter for either Jessica.
I have one question before the motion. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is the, I heard the architect, is the client here for the project, the building owner?
No, he is not here tonight.
Thank you, Jason. Jessica?
Motion to support the proposal for the rectory as presented.
To write a letter of support for the project.
Yes, letter of support.
Yolanda Brown?
Second.
Thank you. Angel, can you do a vote by roll call?
Okay. Yolanda Brown,
Yes.
Jessica Elliott,
Yes.
Elsie Encarnacion,
Yes.
James Horton,
Yes.
Ivy Hume,
Yes.
Andrew Padilla,
Yes.
Robert Perez,
Yes.
Jason Villanueva.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. And thank you, Edwin, for the presentation.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, next we are going to start our committee discussion regarding our 2023 budget request, our review of our FY22 request, and a recommendation for additions and or removals. Angel, I think you had something you wanted to say about this in particular or wanted to share.
I did? No,
No, did I make that up?
maybe.
I probably did. I feel like you always want to talk, so I'm not sure.
I don't actually always want to talk. I'm gonna put up the tracker that has a request on it, but then slide. Just give me a sec. So this is the, I think most committee members have seen this already this month. We've had enough meetings so far. This is how we keep track of the budget request from last year, informed by, you know, the hearings and the town halls that we've had and the discussions we've had at committee. We look to decide whether we're going to keep prior year recommendations and continue supporting them, revise the wording for them, or in some cases remove them when the request has been satisfied, or if for some other reason the committee determines that they no longer want to support or recommend support for that particular budget request. This committee, unlike certain other committees, only has 3 requests. Jessica will not shout you out, even as I shout you out. Your committee has 175 requests. So, so essentially the first 2 this committee always keeps on is provide more housing, provide more housing for extremely low. What we've done is, you'll see in column H, right? without having to read through all the requests and reasons, which you guys have seen ad nauseum. What we've done to, in our effort to try to, move the process along is add recommendations, right? For you all to consider. You don't have to abide by them, obviously. So where it says add, if it's an existing recommendation, it's essentially just keep. You can read the add as keep. So in all three cases, we're saying to keep them, and we're not proposing any revised language. So other committees have columns I and J full of information, column J full of stuff. This committee, not so much. And I think it's with the first two because they're like fundamental asks of the board. We're looking to, develop, deeply affordable housing, and we're looking for other opportunities to preserve affordable housing. So those are always, big needs of the board. And for those reasons, without, stating the obvious 1,000 times, they're always just there. And then the third one was one that I think was fresh from last year, the year before, as the ULURP process has changed to more of an online presence. There was an ask to provide training so that, the general public has a better, has better understanding of the process, can be more familiar with, how things are laid out, how things relate to each other, and has better use of what's being made available. Over the last few years, DCP has done a really good job of making a ton of information available. Doesn't always mean that the person that doesn't deal with this every day is going to understand, how one piece relates to the other one, and providing training to that, in that regard can be, of course, helpful to them to be better civically engaged and engaged with this land use project. That's all I have to say with those three.
Okay. And so the conversation should circle around these three. Well, obviously the recommendation is to keep. So agreeing if we as a committee decide to keep these three, and then if there are any additions or if we wanted to replace one of these with another recommendation, for example.
Right. Yeah, I left out the add part, my bad. But yes.
Okay. So I did see Jason's hand up for a quick second. I don't know if he meant that or maybe not. Yes, no? Okay. So we'll open up the conversation for this budget piece. I know I've had conversations with Angel around this committee and making sure that we try to put things on here and put things on our agenda that'll kind of move these things forward. If we have to bring in anyone from, this is mostly HPD and DCP, which are at most of our meetings. So we should continuously bring up some of these things throughout the year and put them on the agenda as items so that we can see some movement in these pieces and push where we need to in terms of when things like, they will accommodate within existing resources and kind of get more into that as the year goes on. But as it stands, I just wanted to kind of get an idea from our committee, if there's anything else that we're missing or should be on here, or if we inherently disagree with any of these, so that we can make changes. Did we also share, sorry, Angel, did we also share the policy area piece that we spoke about during the executive committee, which was the preservation, I believe? Was that spoken about in September's meeting? I wasn't here, sorry.
Sorry, Elsie, I fell off for a second. Was that last little bit to me?
Yes.
I lost the connection, sorry.
No problem. I just had a question around I know there was conversation at the executive committee about the policy area and some of that, that piece for land use. I just wasn't aware, but that was conversation that we already had during our September meeting, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so this is just this. All right, Jessica, I see your hand up.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I read all these budget requests earlier on, and I just wanted to voice my support to add and keep them, all of them.
Great. I agree. I think, we should add and keep them all. I think they're probably going to be on the budget tracker in perpetuity until we get some real numbers, or until this housing crisis, right, start to get a dent in it. For now, this is where we're at. Yes, Andrew.
Well, I was going to say, with regard to the providing training so that folks could better understand the new digital ULERP process, I remember that was something that we'd put on last year during COVID. And right here on the tracker, it just says will operate within existing resources, which just feels like their normal copy and paste. I don't recall. I remember there being something more specific from DCP with regards to this, that they had it and were going to do it, or they had it, but like talking more specifically than that copy and paste. But I think that's something for us in budget to follow up on, and then also for myself and anyone else on the committee that wants to just press them and get that going. I think we initially held off on pressing to be like, oh, are you sure you have the money? Because if they were like, yeah, or we actually do want to do this, we would have to kind of, or I imagine we would want to do some organizing on our end to make sure we knew who we were bringing to these events. And so if there's anyone who thinks that that's an important need and is interested in just being a part of that conversation as we follow up, just message afterwards. That's something that we should. If there's something more specific than that, we definitely should. Otherwise, yeah, I'm also in agreement with maintaining them. But if there was something more specific, then it would be good if we can. I don't know if we lose anything by keeping it on. I don't remember, since we've got the chair of budget here, I don't know if you recall any more specificity on this. I feel like there was, but I don't have it in front of me or in my email. We'll have to solve this now. Our committee agrees this is good, though.
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Yolanda Brown.
Hi, yes. Item number 2, can you give me a little background to understand? I understand the ask, but I also understand that the underutilization has in large part will really have to be addressed with the Department of Financing. But HPD does not levy any type of taxation or sanction against private owners as such. So can we also include the Department of Financing? And I ask that question because some time back, I used to work with a land ownership reform organization. And one of the things that was advocated, given there's a lot of property that's held out of speculation, but at the taxation level, they're being taxed at the underutilization level. So if it was taxed at the near maximum capacity, that might be an incentive for people to go ahead and put it back in circulation because their taxing would be likewise. So I was wondering here, is there any way that we can address the Department of Finance? The HPD alone can't do anything about this.
That's a great point. No, it's a great point. It's one of the things, like number 2 is exactly one of the pieces in reference to what I was talking about. Like, this is something that we really should look at in terms of what exactly can be done, because this is private property, right? And we are talking about possibly taxing them. I mean, we don't know what can be done to levy that warehousing essentially of apartments. And so I'm not sure, Angel, maybe you can help me understand in terms of that line and why it got put into HPD, and maybe why would it have to be reworded in order to put it into Department of Finance, or would we have to do another ask and kind of word it directly to them?
So I don't think you need to do another ask. I think you can keep this ask, but Yolanda's point is super valid. Remember, like, that this whole exercise, consists of 2 pieces, right? That the budget request specifically But then there's also the statement of need where we also ask for things that aren't necessarily a budget request, right? What we're talking about, what Yolanda's referring to with levying, levying some kind of fine on them or some kind of tax assessment or whatever it is, it isn't a budget request necessarily. It's a policy decision, right? And we can make recommendations on policy in the statement of needs. The one thing that I would urge, though, if we go down that path, which I think we should, is that in order for that to succeed or stand a chance of succeeding, we have to follow it up with sustained advocacy, right? There's going to be a lot of pushback from property owners that are not going to want to deal, accept that because frankly, they're sitting pretty right now, right? Like if you're only getting charged on the one commercial space, not the entire building, why would you want to sign up for anything other than that? So I think that we certainly should be attacking that point that Yolanda is raising. I don't think that it has to be on this budget request, but it can be a related policy recommendation in the statement and then follow-up advocacy.
Yeah, I agree. I think it needs to be in that statement of district needs, and also that, the work has to be done. I have had conversations in terms of bringing forth to the committee kind of like an outline of who these players are, how many units we're talking about when we're talking about one specific owner, and really sharing that in the committee so we can start working on this angle. And so that's kind of like what we're looking to do for the upcoming year that we have in front of us. And obviously that'll be long work, but I agree. So the recommendation, Angel, is that we keep this here in HPD, but then we make additional piece about
in the statement.
In regard to that.
Yeah, and it's going to be a huge lift, but certainly an important one, right? Like, because I think we all know what we're talking about. Like, there are a lot of properties that are just sitting there because folks are waiting for whatever reason they're waiting for. And the challenge the pain that's causing the community is, reprehensible. But yeah, I like big projects. We should do this.
Okay, perfect.
So,
I remember you said that it's on record.
No, well, yeah, and then we'll assign it to Yolanda because she's her and her great idea, and Andrew.
Sounds perfect. And Jessica wants in on it as well.
Oh, and Jessica, perfect.
Perfect. Okay, so it seems that those definitely the last and the second and the first, I think all three of these are going to be kept, I guess. Do we take a vote on that to make it official?
That would be great.
Okay, and then I just wanted to circle around the committee again in terms of any additions or any questions you may have, especially for our newer members to the committee. Just, no question is too big or too small. We want to make sure we get everybody's input, but we also do have time. Andrew is from our committee assigned to the budget committee, but we also have the chair of the budget committee who sits on our committee, so we're doubly lucky in that sense. So if there are any questions that they can answer in terms of this process, please feel free to ask. If not, then I'm sorry, Eva, yes. Sorry. Quickly, yes, you may, Eva Chen, raise a question about the budget.
Hi, thank you. So, one thing that's been just really troubling me for a long time is I see East Harlem, we on a budget, we want to build more affordable housing, which is commendable. At the same time, New York City continued to only set aside 40% of affordable housing for local residents, and then the rest is subjected to lottery through Housing Connect. So since I look at the budget statement from other districts, many districts are not asking for affordable housing. What is happening in reality is East Harlem keep on building affordable housing or supportive housing, and for people outside of East Harlem, and our residents continue to be displaced. So I'm just concerned about our ask for this budget item, because I don't know if the money is being spent wisely when our local residents have so much need. So I want to ask for two things. One is to clarify in the budget that these really should be set aside, 80%, 100% for local residents. That should be the condition, because we cannot get $100 million budget and only 40 million is actually spent for East Harlem. We need more budget. The other question is, I want to ask if the committee would write a resolution to ask the city to give more flexibility for us to set aside more units for our local residents in order to prevent further displacement of original residents. Thank you.
Eva, I'm sorry, what was that last piece? More flexibility around what?
More flexibility to set aside more units for our local residents. So basically exceeding the 40% that is right now kind of part of the tax abatement plan.
Right, and that 40%, I mean, just out of curiosity, because from what I understand, it's 40% is the maximum, is what you're saying, that they are?
Yeah, and then everything else is basically subjected to a lottery in Housing Connect. So
yeah, I mean, I'll definitely take this under advisement with the committee in terms of moving forward. The resolution doesn't really have a place in this budget process piece, but these are things that we're happy to bring up and discuss moving forward, especially when we think about kind of cause and effect, and we're talking about what things cause this housing crisis, right? And how can we address those things? In this budget process, though, it really is about providing deeper affordability. That's what the number one statement is talking about, so that we can get those numbers. But I completely hear you, and would love to have further discussion on those pieces and affect what we can in those things. I did see Jason's hand go up real quickly. Jason, your hand is elusive. It comes up.
Nah, you know what it is, because you do such a great job, and Angel does such a great job of running the meeting. So it's like, I don't want to disturb the process. So when I thought of Eva's first question, I really simply think of our position as a board, right? And the answer to that question is our role. We're an advisory board. We provide comments and advice. And I need not say, right, a closed mouth does not get fed. So the act of us not putting in a request, absolutely unacceptable. Where I do look for resolution by the board, this body, and all of our membership, and the community members that have voiced all their concerns, is the advocacy portion, which is being present to these public hearings, going down to City Hall, we just did a budget town hall in August. It was probably one of the best events I've seen since I've been a board member. And we had all the elected officials in the room to hear the concerns of the district. It's now our job and our responsibility to hold them accountable. And how better else to do it through having these forums, through having these processes, because I can't speak for others. I'm a volunteer on this board. While I'm hanging out with my kids or doing what I'm doing for my job, these things tend to slip as life is progressing. We want to deal with it. We got to be present. So my first thought is we keep all the requests. As far as the policy debate that's happening by the district, we need to figure out a way to formulate that at the executive level and properly address it. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Jason. I'm sorry, I'm having issues with my click button. I agree. I think it was a very well-attended event, and I know that we don't have as many asks as Jessica's good old committee, but I think our asks are fundamentally needed in terms of land use. But I do think that there may be some opportunity, and I think through discussion, and maybe not right now, we're not ready, but we should be talking about some of these good urban plan designs, thinking ahead about what we want to put in for next year, and making some solid ask about what can really make a dent in not only housing, but just land use in general, and how we're using the space and how we can best use the space for the needs of the community at large, because it's not just housing that we're looking at. We are looking at our, how we do our commercial corridors and our open spaces. All of those things really fall into play under this committee. And so we can work with our neighboring committees and make sure that our next round, we have some solid asks to add to this so that we have a little bit more than 3, but that they are important to the overall process of land use and encompass a lot more than just these asks. But I agree with you, Jason. I think they're closed mouth does not get fed. So we should be asking, but I think I agree for now that these 3 are solid and we should keep them. Going to go to committee members first. You might want to vote. What's going on here? Okay, there we go. Can I see a hand here?
And I'm sorry, Elsie, just for clarity, on the 3rd item, because I do know Andrew wanted me to answer. The answer is yes, that they have the funding. We have to advocate for it. I don't see a need to remove it because it's not satisfied with the district. And some of the concerns that have been brought up the last 2 months, since we're now back in the digital age of remote, I do think now, where last year they said, yeah, we'll do all the trainings. This year, we're gonna need it more than before. So I think it's a great thing to keep, and it's just something that we got to follow up on. I do agree with Andrew on that.
Thank you, Jason. I am going to call for a vote, but I was just checking with Angel to see if there were any other additions before I call for the vote.
I don't have any other suggestions.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
do the roll.
Yes, please.
Oh, I know you have to take a motion, right? So,
Yes, I have to.
so
Jason.
Jason, you making a motion?
Yes, sir. Motion to support the committee's recommendations.
Okay. And Jessica Elliott, second.
Yep, second, thank you.
Okie dokie. Yolanda Brown,
Yes.
Jessica Elliott,
Yes.
Elsie Encarnacion,
Yes.
James Horton,
Yes.
Ivy Hume,
Yes.
Andrew Padilla,
Yes.
Robert Perez,
Yes.
Jason Villanueva.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes.
Thank you, Angel.
Just something quickly to Eva's point about community preference. It's 50% community preference on the affordable units, and it certainly is a conversation to be had with HPD. Perhaps we can have HPD and come in, invite HPD to come in and have a conversation about what why it's 50 and what is preventing them from doing more, and then how we could advocate to increase that number. But the conversation should start with HPD. I think it might be a fair housing thing, but better to ask them.
Okay, I will keep that. And along with many of the other points that were brought up today, I think the budget conversation, I know we're having it now, we're having the vote now, but these conversations happen throughout the year. It comes from a lot of the actions that we take throughout the year, a lot of the community feedback that we get through many of our meetings throughout the year. And so then we start compiling this. As soon as this is voted on and done for this year, we're already starting to talk about the next. And that's largely due to the advocacy of Jason and the new budget committee, because we would kind of save this till a certain time. And he really pushed for these conversations to happen on every meeting, be on the agenda all the time, and really forces us to take a look at how we can take what we are learning and what we are voting on and what we're working on throughout the year and implement that into budget requests and into the statement of district needs. For new members, I encourage you to go into the Google Drive, the shared Google Drive. There's a ton of documentation on things that we've discussed either last year or in the past, positions we have taken, and also old budget requests. So you can kind of just take a look and see you know, essentially what is already on record, what we've worked on. And if you want to kind of resuscitate something from then, you can do so as a member. You have, you know, full autonomy to raise your hand and bring that up, or ask for it, something to be put on the agenda and ask for. We have the power to ask for those meetings with not only our electeds, but also our department and agencies that it pertains to. So just to keep that kind of on the universe of what we trying to accomplish this year and what we try to accomplish moving forward. So, and I thank you for those town halls as well, because we did get a lot of feedback from those. Yes, Ms. Yolanda.
Yes, just a suggestion, and maybe this may not be the time to do so, but definitely the next meeting, I think it might be good for those who are attending that are not on the board or the committee to understand how we conduct business and what the various segments are. So this way they don't feel left out. They understand what our process and procedures are.
Mute
You're on
button.
mute, Elsie.
Yes, the mute button. I saw it. It let me know. Agreed. I think it is important, and we should maybe I'll consider putting that into like the script that we talk about in the morning, so we can have some suggestion about making sure we vocalize when the public speaks and when we're voting and when it's business time, as it is in the full board. Thank you for that suggestion, Yolanda. It is the perfect time for that. Any old business? No old business. New business.
I have my hand raised. If that's
Oh,
okay.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Thank
just a quick announcement. And I sent an email during the call, but I know I dropped the ball with the NYCHA resiliency group. So just emailed them to see if they could come in, you know, November or December, but I'll keep tabs on that this time and make sure it fits within the schedule moving forward.
Thank you. November or December will be good. Okay. Any new business? Okay, we're getting there. Believe that's it. I see number 12. We've reached number 12. We'll do a roll call adjournment. Angel.
Yolanda Brown,
Present.
Jessica Elliott,
Present.
Elsie Encarnacion,
Present.
James Horton. Present. Ivy Hume,
Present.
Andrew Padilla,
Present.
Robert Perez,
Present.
Jason Villanueva.
Present.
Yeah, quorum.
Thank you. Evening, like Angel said in the beginning of the meeting, the next meeting is November 10th. Same time. And then Zoom link will be sent out along with minutes and the agenda for that meeting. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
Thank you, Elsie.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Madam Chair.
Can I be saved from this?
Night, everyone.